Okay, everybody, it's me, Gregory Mannarino. Sit down. We do have to talk as usual, people. Look, I don't even know where to start. I'll be honest with you. We heard from the freak of freaks today. I think you know who that is without me even saying. And I am not referring to the Federal Reserve. Hey, look, let's just sit tight. So, yes, this is my post-market wrap-up on this incredibly lovely day. Every day, no matter what happens, is lovely for you and me. You know why? Because I have to remind you of something. You and me are always surrounded with little puffs of loveliness. They're just everywhere. So how could anything possibly be bad if we're surrounded by these little things? Anyway, so on this March 31st, 2022, the market today fell across the board, about 1.5% for the three major indices, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ. Okay, I don't think this is a big surprise to anyone. I've been explaining to you, for at least a week, that this market needs to give some back. The market has gone straight up off of the recent low. So you got to expect these kinds of things. But today's sell-off was clearly a fear trade. This morning, when I did my lovely video this morning, I explained to you pre-market that there was a safety trade going on, meaning cash making its way into the debt market, the safety of the dollar. You got to be kidding me. Okay, but it's still considered a safe haven. And it did play out to become a fear trade. That is, 10-year yield continued to drop, dollar continued to get stronger, and stocks sold off. Okay, there's a few drivers here. The biggest driver of today's fear trade is, it's being widely reported, Russian attacks on several major Ukrainian cities. And this is rattling the markets. What else would you expect? But, look, the market's going to shake this off too. The reason why is very clear. The easy money is not going to stop. It's not going to stop. All right. Before I go on I have a lot of stuff I wrote down. Look at this. 2 pages. We'll see how much I actually get to cover. But let's go back to the market real quick. So on the back of, again, the fear trade, stocks sold off, safety of debt, safety of dollar, which is also a unit of debt, we had cryptocurrencies get hit pretty much across the board. Gold and silver finishing roughly around the flat line. Now, crude oil took a big hit. I want to talk about that. I was unfortunately had to listen to our illustrious, whatever you want to call the guy. He's supposed to be a president. It's more like a puppet. They're all puppets, and they don't work for you, nor do they work for me. But he was extremely deceptive today. In fact, I wrote this down. Look what I wrote. Puppet Bidenstein. My handwriting's awful. But yeah, so Bidenstein, because he's like, Frankenstein. He reminds me of Frankenstein. He reminds me of Frankenstein. Period. The end. So very, very deceptive today when he was talking about this historic. We just made history. You see, Bidenstein wants to get into the history books. I think he's already made it there for being probably the stupidest president who's ever lived. But that's besides the point. He made history by, opening up the strategic oil reserves, 1 million barrels per day. Okay, this did hit the crude oil market, but what he's not telling you, and he won't tell you, is here in the United States, we use about 20 million barrels a day. All right, so his big, fantastic number of 1 million barrels that he's releasing here, look, the market's going to realize it's dog shit, wrapped in cat shit, and I think crude is going higher. People, look, this is a BandAid. You know that. And yes, we have this cost of living crisis, and then we got the war crisis and the COVID crisis, which they're continuing to prolong because they got to sell you the next 2 vaccines. There's 2 more waiting for you, and you're not considered fully vaccinated unless you get them. Yeah. So yeah, very, very deceptive talk about what he's decided to do, our illustrious president here. And you know what he's doing, which was really, the biggest deception today. What was the real deception that our lovely president was trying to pull off. He was pointing at every reason on earth, whatever could conjure up in his slow working mind here, pointing at this reason for inflation, that reason for inflation, this other reason for inflation. But never one time did the thing, he's also a thing, point his finger at the root cause, which is the Federal Reserve. As a matter of fact, let's reflect for a moment, you and me. Let's reflect on a moment. It was a lovely moment. What am I talking about? How about when Federal Reserve Chairman Jay Powell, also known as putrid, pathetic, disgusting, vomitous, yellow stain, stinking, stenching yellow stain, when he said, inflation is largely a monetary policy issue. Really? You mean so it's not all the things that our illustrious retard president was talking about? Yes, I used the R word. You want to unsubscribe? Go ahead. Button's right down here. Whenever I use that word, people do unsubscribe, just so you know. I guess they can't handle it. They can't handle it. Oh, well. So, yes, but this is the mechanism. Distract and deflect. Imagine for a moment if our illustrious, the word, president were to explain that he's going out of his way to have the Federal Reserve vastly inflate, just like President Trump did, just like President Obama did, and everybody else going before. They need the central banks to inflate because they understand more than anybody that the debt-based economic model must be fed. It must be fueled with blood, guts, and everything else they got to throw at it to make it work. Wars, expansions of wars, what do they got to do? Okay, they're going to try to distract you, but that's the truth. Now, imagine if the president were to say, well, the Federal Reserve, they've gone crazy, and they keep printing cash out of thin air, keeping rates artificially suppressed. There was no taper. They continue to buy $40 billion worth of mortgage-backed securities, $80 billion a minimum, $80 billion per month of treasuries. But that's not the reason why we have inflation. It's because of Russia. It's because of supply chain disruptions. It's energy. No, it's the Fed. But you can't know that, nor will our illustrious retard president disclose this to you because he thinks that you're the retard. No, and you're not the retard. So anyway, big deception from our president here today. Now, let's, by the way, he had to pat himself on the back. 50 times maybe not 50, about 5 times, talking about how his administration, they're going out of their way to help everyone because people are hurting here. People are hurting here. So he's got to do something. Yeah, so let's release 1 million barrels per day in a market that's 20 million per day. It's fractional and it's nothing. It's just like the Federal Reserve, I'm not going to flick my eyeball, with their 0.25% federal funds rate hike. You got to be kidding me. Anyway, what else did I want to talk about? So we got a couple of warnings today, and I want you to hear this. So, I'm laughing. I'm always laughing. So Goldman Sachs is warning on the stock market. Okay, how many times, tell me again, how many times we've heard warning after warning after warning? Do they not realize, let's see, that the S&P 500 is maybe, 6% off of a new record high? That's not so bad. What do they expect? The market to go higher every freaking day? Never stop? So we get this warning from Goldman Sachs here. But we got a bigger warning, and this is the one I really want to focus on. So the United Nations, we know what happened yesterday. They gave us a warning that we could possibly experience global food shortages. Now they go on to say today that social unrest may erupt because of these food shortages, and leaders around the world better act to do something. So what is that? So we have this food shortage crisis coming up, more cash going to get thrown at it. Cash throwing cash at it's going to help, of course. You can't make any of this stuff up. It's totally impossible to do. And how about this one? Here's another warning we got. It's kind of interesting. The IMF, another criminal organization here, is warning here that the US dollar denominated global market may change. As a matter of fact, and we could see the use of alternative currencies evolve in the future. Yeah, I think that's probably likely, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. Before the world decides to adopt another currency besides the US dollar, we will have a full-on global, maybe even a nuclear war. You see, the Federal Reserve will defend the US dollar as the world reserve currency, utilizing its greatest resource. What is the Federal Reserve's greatest resource? It's not you, it's not me. It is the full backing of the United States Armed Forces, including its military arsenal. Yes, henceforth why the petrodollar exists. Henceforth why the US dollar remains the world reserve, because it's backed by the full strength of the US military. So you can bet that if some nation around the world or a group of nations around the world would try to dethrone the dollar as the world reserve, millions, tens of millions of people are going to die. So just be ready for that. So look, in summary here real quick, we had a market that sold off today. Market needs to give back. You know that. I think you and I have been expecting this for at least a week. As I've been explaining to you, this market needs to fall. We need to give some back. Going straight up off of the recent low is just really stupid. Okay. A lot of this being driven by, look, I'm not there, so I don't know what's really going on. But what's being reported is they're increasing attacks. Russia is increasing attacks. They're regrouping now. Russia is regrouping. That's the words they're using. And now attacking cities here in Ukraine. I wish someone here would tell me what they're seeing, because I'm not there. So I'm just telling you what I'm hearing. And it's all... Who knows what's real anymore, okay? It's all fake. You got, again, the president here today who might as well have had horns behind his head, you know, deceiving everyone, pointing at every freaking thing other than the Federal Reserve and blaming everything else other than the Federal Reserve for skyrocketing inflation and the reason why people are suffering. People are suffering here as a result of runaway monetary policy from the freaking Federal Reserve. This place gotta go. This place gotta go, people. And you're going to be told all kinds of lies and deceptions. So just, be prepared for it. The fact of the matter is, central banks, none more so than the Federal Reserve, are the most corrupt, evil organizations that have ever been introduced on the face of the earth or anywhere else for that matter. Anyway, look, I covered a lot of stuff here in this video, and I think you have a pretty good handle on what's going on. I want to hear from you. As always, please place a comment here. Please share this video. Get it out there before my blood pressure freaking goes to the moon. I actually can feel my blood pressure getting high. Like, I feel like my eyeballs are going to explode. Imagine that. Poof! Right here on YouTube. Lovely. I could just see people, Gregory Mannarino's eyeballs explode. All right, look, I got to go. Love all of you. I'll see you in the morning. I'm out of here.